Hey, after the show, be sure to check out my other channel, Movie Facts, where every week or so I give 5 facts about all of your favorite movies and things related to your favorite movies. Also, this episode is made possible by the generous support of my patrons at patreon.com/SayGoodnightKev and by viewers like you. Thanks! So once again, the world is graced with a new Fantastic Four film, and once again, a collective groan of disgust is heard across the internet about how the industry is scraping the bottom of the barrel. But could it be that the Fantastic Four is so much fantastic more? Parody, an imitation of a style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. So today, whenever you think of parody and satire, typically the idea is simple, harmless comedic entertainment. Things like Weird Al Yankovic and all those people on YouTube who are copying Weird Al Yankovic. Maybe you think of political satire like Stephen Colbert, or Jon Stewart, or those little comics that they have in the political section of the newspaper that are sometimes funny and sometimes you're like, But there was a time, and still today in some areas, parody and satire is used not just for entertainment, but as a way to change the world. With movies like Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, or with books like Catch-22. Parody and satire can be vehicles to bring to light social issues, comedically communicating ideas in a way that no other medium could do. But at this point, you might be asking yourself, Kevin, what does this have to do with Fantastic Four? Well, good question. See, to many people, Fantastic Four is just another cliche, paint-by-numbers, loaded, overdone, rebooted superhero franchise. But what if Fantastic Four was actually the most genius satire of all time? I propose today that Fantastic Four is not some superhero movie franchise that has failed 4 separate times at making a good movie, but has succeeded over and over and over again, doing exactly what it intended to do all along. Hiding in the shadows, waiting, watching until that critical moment, rising from the darkness to once again set comic book-based entertainment back on track. Follow me and I'll show ya. The Comic Code Authority has overregulated the industry. Superhero comic books have all but disappeared. Yeah, you've got DC Comics making their Justice League of America, doing their family-friendly stuff, but primarily comic books were family-friendly kiddie stuff and monster stories. And Stan Lee was ready to quit comic books altogether because he was so tired of how ridiculous the industry had gotten. If you want to know more about that, you can check out my Movie Facts episode about Fantastic Four. But before Stan Lee leaves, he creates a team of superheroes. He has them speak in colloquial language, which is a very common tool in satire and parody. The first bad guy in the Fantastic Four is a monster, which clearly satirizes the monster comic books that were so popular at the time. Then Stan Lee slaps this quote on the cover of the comic book. It's not actually the greatest comic book of all time. This is clear-cut, deliberate exaggeration for the sake of comic effect. And like many great satires of years gone by, it starts a revolution, a time that now is looked back at as the golden age of comic books. But 1994. At this point, comic books and comic book movies of the past 20 to 30 years have been doing pretty well. Christopher Reeve's Superman, Michael Keaton's Batman showed us that big Hollywood budgets could be put into superhero films and they could do well. But then Superman 2, then 3, 4, then Swamp Thing. The Return of Swamp Thing. That awful-looking Captain America movie, and worst of all, Howard the Duck and Meteor Man? Truly, the industry had gotten ridiculous. Enter Fantastic Four, a superhero movie that went to great lengths to satirize how much the industry had started to cut corners. I mean, look at it. What perfect parody. Almost as if to say, if change doesn't happen immediately, this is what comic book movies will become. And their prediction was true. By 2002, the Batman and Superman franchises had all but destroyed themselves. Hollywood had practically given up on the superhero genre altogether. But then, like a beautiful sign from the heavens, in swings Spider-Man. CGIing all over the place. Things could be put on screen in ways that had never been done before. The superhero genre in movies was revitalized. Audiences loved it. Then Hollywood got greedy. Hulk, Daredevil, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Catwoman, Sky High. By 2005, things got pretty bad. But then, like a human torch rising from the ashes, hitting every cliche in the book. Fantastic Four parodied the industry like no one else could. What, you don't believe me? Oh, think about it. What did every superhero movie in the early 2000s have? Rubbery-looking CGI? Fantastic Four has a character that's literally made out of rubber. Some sort of superhero getting powers, and then they spend the entire movie trying to figure out what these powers are for. Until the third act, where they realize the true reason for their powers is to deal with the bad guy who was destined to bring doom to the world. I mean, in Fantastic Four, the character's literally named Doom. And who is the main character usually? Either a really suave guy, a really nerdy guy, a really strong guy who's just misunderstood, or a girl. By 2007, every single summer blockbuster was a sequel or a threequel or a squeakquel. Even really bad movies were getting sequels. And so what does Fantastic Four geniusly do? They make a sequel to their terrible movie. Hilarious! Hitting every cliche that sequels do. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer was the wake-up call that the industry needed, because the very next year, 2008, the year that comic book films actually got good. The Dark Knight, Iron Man, the Hulk. I mean, the kickoff of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we know and love today. It is truly a great time for superhero movies. But wait, why is there a new Fantastic Four? Things are fine, right? The world of comic book movies has never been better. They're darker, grittier, crossovers and teams working together, got rid of all the bad ones and rebooted them into good ones. We've created entire universes. I mean, we've completely oversaturated the market? Then it's true. The true heroes aren't the people up on screen, flying around in their capes and punching bad guys. It's the actual Fantastic Four franchise, showing up at the moment we need it most to save the world from a bloated industry that's gone too far. Fantastic Four is the most fantastic film parody franchise of all time. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this episode, then you'll probably also like my show, Movie Facts, which is on my other channel, youtube.com/moviefacts. Go check it out. I talk about movies a lot. Big shout out to legacyandwealth.com and Brendan Neely. Those are two people who support me on my Patreon, along with all the rest of you guys who know who you are. You can find out more about that at patreon.com/saygoodnightkev. Invisible girl /lady/guy. Good night.